Am I the butthole for not wanting to take our niece on vacation in 2022? My husband and I do not have kids, but many nieces/nephews. A number of years ago, when we were late 20s and finally financially secure, our oldest niece was in senior year of HS and we decided to take her on a beach vacation for a week. This has since become a tradition where we take the nibbling on a vacation during their senior year. Since this began, there has always been one nibbling each year. Then in 2020 to 2023 there are no nibblings graduating HS, so we won't be taking one on vacation until 2024. We've always made it clear it's a senior trip, and not us just working our way through them. We intentionally want to do it this ways, as we do not want to travel with younger teenagers/children. They are 17-18 when we take them, which means we can give them their own room, we keep a key, and do adjoining rooms, but that gives all of us privacy. They can do more excursions, and we can meet them for breakfast, or leave them unsupervised if we want to get a drink/snack. We don't need to actively monitor them by water, and it's so much easier to airport travel with 17-18. A couple weeks ago our sister-in-law said Jess was looking forward to planning her trip with us. Jess is next in line, currently in grade 9. Husband said she's rather eager since her trip is 2024, but so great she's excited. Sister-in-law gave us death glares and I asked if we had aged her and sister-in-law said no. Jess is grade 9 but assumed she would be going in 2022 since she's next in line. Sister-in-law had ordered her travel books to help her plan, which we found odd, as we involve the nibbling in the planning but we give them limited choices, they don't get a carte blanche. We usually give them a choice of 3 locations, then from there a choice of resort. We told her that the trip is for senior year, so she needs to wait until 2024. Sister-in-law was angry, and Jess has had a hard time with pandemic, so we offered to fly her out to visit us for a week. We live in a major city, for a change of scenery, but the major trip isn't until 2024. Sister-in-law is furious, Jess is disappointed but seems to get it. The older nibblings are on our side and said it was a fun thing for them in senior year, while other adults are conflicted, with some thinking we should just go through the list, taking one nibbling a year, regardless of age. We are not parents, so maybe we aren't as empathetic as we should be, so are we the buttholes for wanting to wait until our nibblings are in senior year to take them on vacation? Edit. Nibbling equals gender-neutral term for niece/nephew. Did not realize it was weird until now. Edit. The first child we did this for was Jess' older half-sister. Their biological dad, husband's brother, was widowed and had our oldest niece, then remarried to Jess' mother and had Jess and 2 more kids. This might be a factor in sister-in-law's reaction, I have no idea. Edit. We have talked to Jess directly, she is not upset. She was disappointed that her big trip wasn't next year but understood the purpose of the trip. We've given her some location ideas as her mother had suggestions that are the opposite side of the world. It sounds like you made it pretty clear that it's a senior trip. Not the butthole, and how entitled is sister-in-law thinking she gets to complain about when you're taking her kid on an all-expenses-paid vacation? I mean, it sounds like the entirety of the problem is the sister-in-law. Kid was misled to believe it would happen next year, now understands it won't and is okay with it. Sister-in-law is the only person throwing a fit, and the only butthole. Not the butthole. Looks like sister-in-law is the real child here. Original poster replies, holy crap, yes, my husband just video called his brother and sister-in-law was in the room, saw it was husband, rolled her eyes, and then left the room. She sounds like a gem. It's sad that her children are more mature than she is. But also good that they are. Embarrassed smiley face. Sounds like original poster made the right call in extending the invite to the kid but not the mother. She's probably much easier to vacation with. I can't believe people like this exist. I mean, she's suggesting that you pay to take her kid across the world? And when you confronted sister-in-law, she still pushed for you to do this after you told her about the misunderstanding? Any normal person would have backed off, apologized, and been embarrassed for the misunderstanding. Instead, she tried to make you feel obligated to do this by making you feel guilty. That is extremely manipulative behavior. Is there some jealousy there? I'm not sure what your brother-in-law/Sil's financial situation is, but was she purposely trying to put you and your husband in a position to be forced to expense a trip for someone across the world in an obscure attempt to be malicious out of jealousy that you can afford such luxuries and she cannot? And not to mention her lack of regard for how this might affect her daughter. You need to watch out for this one original poster. Be prepared for drama, manipulation, and I'm sure she'll attempt to turn brother-in-law against you guys at some point. Original poster replies, "We are becoming aware of this. She has a stepdaughter, husband was a widower, who was the first to go. Jess will be the first of her 3 biological children to go on the trip. Since this first came up, she's been really weird and ridiculous. My husband is thinking there's something more. At first, we genuinely thought we had niece-aged Jess and felt horrible, and then it just exploded into ridiculousness, which had us seriously wondering if we were in the wrong." Not the butthole. The rush only makes sense if sister-in-law plans to divorce her husband and she wants to push her older daughter to go to the trip while she can. That's what I'm thinking. If it will happen eventually regardless, there is no problem. But if there's some kind of time limit for some reason, I think sister-in-law is up to something. Is mean even if they do divorce. I believe the nibblings are the husband's brother's kids, so they would still be ops nibblings regardless of marital status between ridiculous mother and brother-in-law. Unless I am reading something wrong? I think brother-in-law had a daughter, the eldest, then his wife died and he married Jess' mom and they then had 3 children, Jess being the first. So their marital status probably wouldn't affect if she is ops niece or not, unless the mom is covering something like Jess not being the brother-in-law's biologically. It feels more likely that she's an entitled, which you probably would have pushed for a senior vacation to in 2024 so her daughter would get 2. If she does divorce, original poster should still offer her to come. It's not her fault her mother sucks. But that still doesn't make sense because Jess would still be their niece, even if sister-in-law and brother-in-law divorce. Ops husband and brother-in-law are brothers. Jess is brother-in-law daughter with sister-in-law, so she would still be a niece, divorce or not. If you were to give in, not only would Jess probably be very disappointed she didn't get a senior year trip also, but sister-in-law would then also expect you to take Jess on another trip for her senior year, then all her children when they fell next in line regardless of age, as well as a senior trip. Sister-in-law can cause as much drama as she wants, but stay firm and maybe you and husband need to send out a blanket email stating the terms of these trips. Maybe sister-in-law was planning on finding a way to get herself invited. This seems very likely. She's acting way more like a child disappointed on not getting the free vacation right now. This is my guess, too. She'd eventually insert how on second thought, niece was too young to travel on her own and how it would be better to have a parent there. Make sure you keep the lines of communication open with your niece, because this is going to escalate. Sister-in-law is straight up jealous, and your niece is both the battleground and the prize. First things first, what you and your husband do for your nibblings is just so dang wholesome. I don't think I'll stop smiling for the rest of the night. An experience like that can impact so many aspects of those young lives. It's just an incredible gift. Now then, do you know how well sister-in-law is getting along with her daughter these days? Your niece is at an age where conflict with mom is pretty common. Sister-in-law may be struggling with the changing dynamic of no longer being looked up to. She then sees you being the cool aunt and gets jealous when her niece talks about you in a positive manner. Her thoughts are likely less kind. How easy it must be, not having to care and pay for kids of her own, not having to be a disciplinary figure to my daughter, able to buy my daughter's adoration with a trip we could never afford. Jealousy distorts. She would see the destruction of your relationship with your niece as eliminating the competition. The actual emotional pain this would cause your niece would barely register, if it even does. After all, mom will be there for her. What else could she need? I hope I'm wrong, Op, but I wanted to make sure you're at least aware of the possibility, and can then spot it sooner rather than later. What does your brother-in-law say about all this? I would be embarrassed if my partner threw a fit like this when I now perfectly clear the rules, intentions and context of the tradition. Did he not explain that to your sister-in-law? Also, glad your niece is understanding in all this, and please don't involve the mother again in the upcoming trips. She sounds unbearable to deal with. Sister-in-law may just want a vacation for herself from her kid, which is why she's all bent out of shape, because it's really all about her, not her kid. I wonder if sister-in-law was promising herself some child-free time after COVID, and now she's annoyed that she has to wait longer. Op even offered to have Jess come stay with them for a while to get a change of scenery. So if that was the problem, original poster already graciously tried to solve it. There are 2 more kids after Jess, so I don't think this is it. Thank goodness, she cannot ruin it for her daughter. I know some people would be if you don't knock it off, there will be 0 trips. Yeah, her problem is she is using this and her own kid as some kind of contest between the ex and herself. What a winner. The dead ex. Even better. Uck. The deceased ex. Dear Lord, how petty must one be to compete with a deceased woman and her children? Taking a child, under age 18, requires medical consent forms and much more hands-on responsibility. Legal adults, over 18, taking on an adventure with non-parents seems like a fabulous graduation present for all involved. Not the butthole. She sounds like a brat who expected you all to for the bill for a trip that she wanted her kid to go on to decompress from the pandemic. Uck, that would have really embarrassed me as a child. Clearly, the kid was misled by the mother into thinking it was going to happen in 2022. When a kid that age asks their parent a question, they have no reason to believe they're not being given the correct info. Jess was just happy for a trip either way, and original poster is awesome for suggesting the week-long visit as a short-term solution. That and sister-in-law was picking more expensive locations as well. It's almost like she was trying to make it better than what her stepchild/sister got. Kind of get a hinky feeling about this. Not the butthole. Sister-in-law had ordered her travel books to help her plan, which we found odd, as we involve the nibbling in the planning but we give them limited choices, they don't get a carte blanche. We usually give them a choice of 3 locations, then from there a choice of resort. Your sister-in-law knows what she's doing. She doesn't ask or get you involved because she wants to pressure you into saying yes, textbook entitled parent behavior, r/entitled parents. And she went way out of proportion if her choices were to the other side of the world. Her mother had suggestions that are the opposite side of the world. Not the butthole, you are doing a great thing for your family's siblings. I commend you for such a great way of rewarding them for their graduation. Regarding the other adults in the family, while other adults are conflicted, with some thinking we should just go through the list, taking 1 nibbling a year, regardless of age. They can put their hands in their pockets/wallets and submit their vacation times to take them themselves if they want to have that sort of opinion. It's easy to say what should be done with another person's money and time. Reddit link. Yep, other adults have no reason to be interjecting about taking someone each year, thereby changing the intent, or reasoning behind the trip. If they feel some child must travel each year, then those adults can fund the trip. 100% agree. Entitlement was the first thing that came to mind on the Sills part, not the niece. Not the butthole. Not the butthole. You've been doing a very kind, and expensive, thing, and that is so thoughtful. It was always clearly outlined as essentially a HS graduation trip, not a whoever is next in line trip. Like seriously, the actual kid is more mature. Original poster said the kid seems to get it, while sister-in-law is over here like what? You can't do this. God forbid. Not the butthole. I think what you guys are doing for your nibblings is so beyond generous and so amazing. Sister-in-law is a butthole for telling her child otherwise. You have made it clear from the start. She didn't even talk to you about it first. She just bought travel books and is telling her child to pick a place? That's entitlement. I would tell her to stop, or you're just going to stop the tradition. If anyone ruins it, it's going to be her. Original poster replies, picking up brochures through my husband off. We've always tried to keep them fair. We usually pick places that are meaningful to the nibbling. So the first year we took the niece to St. Martin, Dutch side, as her biological mother, deceased, was Dutch and had traveled there, so thought it would be meaningful for the niece to go a place where her mother had walked, and get in touch a bit with her Dutch heritage. We took a nephew to Hawaii because he was a major history student and longed to see Pearl Harbor. Well, sister-in-law gave niece books about Fiji, Tahiti, Bali, Bora Bora, places that are beyond what we've ever done. So not only is she getting her hopes about going in 2022, but also the location she's telling her, while we could afford it, we want to keep the trips fair. Seriously? Sister-in-law is prepping this freshman for a tropical beach vacation at someone else's cost and responsibility. F that. Clearly not the butthole. To be frank, the other vacations have also been tropical beach related apparently. But if they're located in North America, Hawaii and St. Martin are infinitely easier trips to make than the places sister-in-law is suggesting. Hawaii and St. Martin are like 6 to 9 hour plane rides that have maybe one stop/layover depending on where you're flying from. The French Polynesia area's sister-in-law is referencing are like a day and a half of multiple, very expensive flights. It's not comparable despite still being a beach. I had no idea it took so long to get places. The audacity. Not the butthole. The cheek, the nerve, the gall, the audacity and the gumption, not the butthole. You both are a really great aunt and uncle. I'm sure the oldest two have such great memories from their trips. Your sister-in-law is a piece of work. I read your other comments and again the entitlement is insane. And Fiji, Tahiti, Bali and Bora Bora? Like what? I would honestly ask her, do you think we won the lottery? Not the butthole. You have made it clear that it is a senior trip. Your sister-in-law is the butthole. Hey, don't forget to use not the butthole, otherwise I don't think your vote will count. Not the butthole. One suggestion though, if part of things is to give her something to look forward to, explain more why you want to wait until senior year. The independence aspect. Then go ahead and pick the 3 places. And tell her she can start researching them to know which one she'd like to explore in 2024. Since she would be old enough to go off on her own and do whatever she wants then. You can also say how some of those things she wouldn't get to do if she went sooner because you'd be more responsible for her. That she will have a better trip this way. I think just the researching and fantasizing about the trip will distract from current times and cheer her up some. And tell her it will keep being something to look forward to through the rest of high school. Original poster replies, thanks for that suggestion, that's a great idea. Maybe even talk to her directly about coming to visit you for a week. My thought is, if you choose locations based on significance to the kid, maybe wait to offer locations. I know when I was in grade 9 I was a drastically different person than I was in senior year, and I would probably have difficulty bringing up that I wasn't as into XYZ if it was a gift from a cherished uncle. Original poster replies, we don't plan the actual trips until the summer prior to their senior year, but some of the older ones had started doing their own research prior. We always give them a location we're pretty sure they want and then 1 to 2 others. Explain more why you want to wait until senior year. A current factor is also the still ongoing pandemic. It won't be over by 2022. It would be a bummer if she had only limited stuff to do, because shops etc. are closed. Exactly. Even if society is basically back to normal, there are going to be a lot of businesses that will have gone bust and not been taken over yet. That goes double in places that are dependent on tourism for survival. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.